The unified path is the proposition that we need to address our whole selves, and that a spiritual path really needs to be holistic. Now, there are many ways of looking at that, but from my perspective and from the use for our use here, let's look at ourselves as having four parts: body, mind, heart, and soul. And there needs to be some way to engage each of these parts in our own spiritual practice in order to pull our whole selves along and to open ourselves to the truth. So let's look at body, mind, heart, and soul for a moment. Body, that's to say the moving part of you. You spend a lot of time in your body. You wouldn't want to leave it out of your spiritual path, would you? No. So how do you involve the body? With rituals. And a ritual is a physical activity that is done regularly and for the purpose of knowing the truth, that is done regularly with awareness, mindfulness, and as much presence as you can bring to the activity. Now, there are all kinds of rituals you might choose. If you're part of a religious tradition, that tradition probably has those rituals, and you may be doing some of them now. If not, look around. It doesn't need to be complicated. I know a woman whose ritual is making a smoothie in the morning. But what she does is she gets out the fruit, she cuts the fruit carefully, she puts it in the blender, she finally pours out her smoothie, and throughout the process she's tried to remain as present and as aware as possible. That's a ritual, and it can be done daily. I think a ritual activity is something that needs to be part of regular life and done, if not daily, certainly not less than once a week. But it needs to be a physical activity that can be done with as much mindfulness and presence as you can bring to it. Okay, that's the body. Now, the mind, very important thing to use. Our minds are very important. So let's use them the best we can. And by that I mean, let's read the best things. Let's learn the best, most valuable doctrines. Let's read the great scriptures and the great books, the Bible and the Gita and the Upanishads, and take from them what we can to learn about this world and to learn about other ways of viewing ourselves and consciousness. And in the process, finally we will learn that that which knows is not the mind. But it's hard to get there without using the mind to get to that point where you know that that which knows isn't the part that thinks. But thinking is a lot of help along the way, and there's a wealth of great spiritual literature to help. Body, mind, heart. Now, talked about the heart, that's devotional activities. And I know in some sectors there's a resistance to the notion of devotion, but when you think about it, there are things that we're all devoted to. There are things that we love. There are things like God, or maybe art, or maybe a principle of some kind, or like justice, or equilibrium. There's always some activity that opens us up, that is transcendent, that makes us aware of higher things, which can be conceptualized in any number of ways. But it is important that our activity, our spiritual activity in our lives include an element of devotion to that which is greater than us. Because not only are there things greater than us, but it also helps erode that ego and the part of us that thinks of ourselves as having a separate identity. And in this connection, part of that devotion needs to be some kind of act of service. Service has a wonderful way of eroding the ego and makes us valuable and provides activities that give us not only meaning but use. So that's devotion, body, mind, and heart. And now soul. Soul is our interior life in the deepest sense. And that is to say, the use of things like meditation or the use of a mantra or the direct path, which stresses inquiry and personal knowledge. But there needs to be some activity that takes us inside of ourselves and helps us to know ourselves as we really are. Because, as they say in Sufism, he who knows himself knows his Lord.